You have picked this up and set it down more than once today. Something keeps pulling you back, and you have not been able to name it yet. It is not boredom. It is not habit. There is something underneath the restlessness, something that feels almost like an itch inside your chest that no ordinary distraction can reach. You scroll past things that do not satisfy. You put the phone down and walk away, and then something invisible pulls you back again, and you pick it up, and somehow you end up here, right here, reading these words or hearing this voice. And I need you to understand something before we go any further. That restless loop you have been living in today is not a glitch. It is not anxiety running loose. That pull, that invisible tug that would not let you stay away, that is the fingerprint of a divine appointment, and it has your name written all over it. You were not supposed to stumble here. You were supposed to arrive here. There is a difference, and that difference changes everything about how you receive what is about to be said. A stumble is accidental. An arrival is arranged. And what God arranges does not look like coincidence from the inside. It looks exactly like what you have been experiencing today. A low hum of unrest. A sense that something is unfinished. A quiet but insistent pull towards something you cannot quite see yet. That is how heaven gets your attention when it has something specific to say to you. It does not always come with thunder. Sometimes it comes as a restlessness that will not leave you alone until you stop long enough to hear it. So stop, right now. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. The title of this message carries a declaration inside it, and before this word is finished, that declaration will have landed in every part of you that has been wondering whether it is all worth it. Chosen one, you have never put on a show like this, and now your name is in exclusive rooms. Read that again slowly, because it is not a motivational slogan. It is a prophetic statement about the season you are standing in right now. The performance you have been giving, the one that no stage has been big enough to hold, the one that no audience has been large enough to honor, has been seen. It has been recorded. And the recording has been played in places you have not been allowed to visit yet. But the door to those places is swinging open, and this message exists to tell you that you are ready to walk through it. There are people listening to this right now who have been faithful in ways that exhausted them. They showed up when showing up cost them something real. They did the work when the work felt invisible. They kept going when the logic of stopping made perfect sense. They poured themselves into something that looked like it was producing nothing, and they stayed anyway because something deeper than reason told them not to quit. If that is you, then this word is for you with a precision that should take your breath away. God has been watching every moment you thought was wasted. He has been cataloging every season you thought was silent. He has been building a case on your behalf in rooms you have never seen, using evidence you thought was embarrassing, using the very things you tried to hide because they did not look impressive enough. And the case he has built is extraordinary. The rooms he is about to open for you are not ordinary rooms. They are exclusive rooms. Rooms where your name is already known. Rooms where your arrival has already been anticipated. Rooms where the people inside have already been told that someone like you was coming. This is not your season to shrink. This is not your season to apologize for the space you take up. This is your season to walk in with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that heaven itself made the introduction. If this word is already speaking to your spirit, type, "Yes, I am ready," in the comments right now. Let everyone reading see that you know this message found you on purpose. This ministry exists because people choose to walk alongside it. If you feel drawn to be part of what this mission is doing, your support is always welcome. No pressure, no expectation, only an open invitation. The link is there for you whenever you feel led. The rooms God is opening for you were not built in response to your recent performance. They were not constructed because you finally got something right, or because you crossed some invisible threshold of worthiness that heaven was waiting for you to reach. These rooms were designed before you drew your first breath. They were engineered with the specific dimensions of your calling in mind, shaped around the contours of your gifts, aligned with the precise frequency of your voice, and reserved with your name on the door before the foundations of the earth were laid. This is not poetry, this is theology, and it is the kind of theology that has the power to completely reframe the story you have been telling yourself about why things have taken so long. You have been operating under a narrative that says the delay is about your lack, that the waiting is evidence of your unworthiness, that if you were truly chosen, the doors would have opened sooner, the recognition would have come faster, the breakthrough would not have required so much time and so much pain to arrive. And I am here to tell you that narrative is a lie, and it is a lie that has been costing you something precious, which is the ability to see your preparation for what it actually is. Preparation and punishment do not look the same from the outside, but from the inside. When you are the one going through it, they can feel identical. Both involve discomfort. Both involve waiting. Both involve a season where the thing you want most seems completely out of reach. But the difference is everything. Punishment takes something from you. Preparation builds something in you. Punishment closes doors. Preparation forges the keys that will open them. And every single thing you have walked through, every hard season, every disappointing year, every door that closed before you could get through it, was not heaven turning its back on you. It was heaven building you into someone who could handle what is on other side of the door that is opening now. Think about the rooms you are being invited into. Think about what those rooms require. They require someone with depth, someone who has been tested and did not shatter, someone who has carried weight without being crushed by it, someone who has been through the fire and has not only survived, but has come out with something that only fire can produce. You cannot fake that. You cannot manufacture it. You cannot shortcut your way into that kind of substance. It has to be built the long way, through the hard seasons, through the invisible years, through the moments where staying faithful cost you something real. And you paid that cost. Every single time you paid it. The exclusive rooms God is opening are not looking for polished performers who have never been broken. They are looking for people who have been broken and rebuilt, people who carry the wisdom of survival, people who have been through enough to be trusted with what those rooms contain. Credentials for those rooms are not printed on certificates. They are written in the texture of a life that has been tested. They are visible in the steadiness of someone who has been shaken but did not fall. They are recognized immediately by the people already inside those rooms, because those people have often walked a similar road, and they know the look of someone who has been genuinely prepared rather than simply promoted. You have been prepared, not just ready in some surface-level sense, but genuinely, deeply, thoroughly prepared. The work that was done in you during the years when nothing seemed to be happening on the outside was the most important work of your entire journey. The character that was forged the silent seasons. The integrity that was built in the moments when no one was watching. The resilience that was hammered into shape through repeated rounds of disappointment and recovery. None of that was wasted. All of it was currency, and it has been accumulating interest in a spiritual account that is now ready to pay out. The Apostle Paul wrote in Romans chapter 8, verse 18, that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed in us. He was not writing from a comfortable position. He was writing from the inside of a life that had cost him everything, and yet he held this certainty that the weight of what he had walked through was nothing compared to what was coming. That certainty was not blind optimism. It was the fruit of a man who understood that God does not waste preparation. He does not build something carefully over years and then abandon it before it is used. What he builds, he deploys. What he prepares, he positions. And you have been prepared for longer than you know. Now let us talk about the show, because the title of this message makes a declaration that deserves to be unpacked with the full weight it carries. You have never put on a show like this, and when heaven uses that language, it is not talking about a performance you gave on a platform with lights and an audience and applause. It is talking about something far more significant than that. It is talking about the performance of a life. The show that no one bought tickets for. The one that happened in the kitchen at 2 in the morning when you were on your knees and the only audience was God. The one that happened in the car on the way home from yet another disappointment when you chose worship instead of bitterness. The one that happened in the office, in the quiet room, in the waiting season, when you kept showing up with excellence for a role that felt too small for what you were carrying. That is the show heaven has been watching. And it is unlike anything that has ever been performed before because it is yours. It carries your specific fingerprint, your specific pain, your specific faithfulness, your specific refusal to quit. Nobody else could have performed it because nobody else has your exact combination of gifts and wounds and history and resolve. The show you have been putting on in private is not a rehearsal for something real. It is the real thing. It is the performance that the exclusive rooms have been evaluating. And the evaluation has come back with a verdict. And the verdict is that you are ready. There is something powerful about what faithfulness looks like when it is not being applauded. When you do the right thing because it is right, not because someone is watching, not because there is a reward waiting on the other side, not because the crowd is cheering you on, but simply because your character will not allow you to do anything less. That kind of faithfulness is rare. It is genuinely rare. Most people perform for an audience. Most people require some level of external validation to sustain their effort. But you have been sustaining your effort in seasons where the external validation was completely absent, where the feedback was silence, where the response was a closed door, or a turned back, or a season that just kept stretching longer than you thought you could bear. And you kept going. You kept showing up. You kept pouring into the thing God placed in your hands, even when it looked like the thing was producing nothing. That is not ordinary behavior. That is the behavior of someone who is operating from a different source than the people around them. That is the behavior of a chosen one. And chosen ones do not need an audience to perform at the level they were built for. They perform at that level because it is simply who they are. The private show you have been giving is now the credential that heaven is presenting in rooms that matter. Every sacrifice you made when no one was watching, every act of faithfulness that felt invisible, every time you chose the harder, better thing over the easier, lesser thing, every moment of obedience that cost you something, it is all documented, it is all known, and it is all being presented as evidence of your readiness for what is next. Isaiah chapter 43 verse 2 says, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you." You have passed through waters. You have passed through rivers. And not only did they not sweep you away, they refined you. They stripped away everything that was not essential and left behind only what is pure and real and unshakable. That is what is walking into those exclusive rooms. Not a polished image, not a managed persona, the real you, refined and ready. Comment 777 right now if you believe this word is for you. Let that be your declaration that you recognize the show you have been putting on, even when no one else did. This ministry continues because people who have been touched by this word choose to help carry it further. Your support, given freely and from the heart, is what makes it possible to prepare and release a new message consistently, to keep the quality of this work steady, and to reach the thousands of people who are still out there waiting to hear something that speaks directly to them. If you feel led to be part of that, the link is there for you. There is no pressure and no expectation, only gratitude for those who choose to step through that open door. While you were living in the silence, something was happening in the noise of those exclusive rooms that you were not yet allowed to enter. Your name was moving, not loudly, not in a way that you could track or verify or feel in the moment, but quietly, consistently, with the kind of momentum that builds underground before it erupts on the surface. Your name was being spoken by people you had not yet met, in conversations you were not present for, in moments of decision and discernment where someone said a name, and that name was yours. You were being recommended in rooms where you had no representative. You were being described to people who had never seen your face. You were being prepared for in spaces that you had not yet been given access to. This is how God works when He is serious about positioning someone. He does not wait for them to arrive before He starts building their reputation in the room. He sends the testimony ahead of the person. He arranges the endorsement before the introduction. He moves in the hearts and minds of the people inside the room so that when the chosen one finally walks through the door, there is already a recognition, an almost inexplicable sense that this person belongs here, that they were expected, that their arrival completes something that had been incomplete without them. That is not coincidence. That is not luck. That is the sovereign handiwork of a God who goes before His people and prepares the way. Think about how Joseph's story moved. Long before he stood before Pharaoh, long before the moment of his great public elevation, his name and his reputation were already shaping events. The butler who had forgotten him for 2 full years suddenly remembered him at exactly the right moment, in exactly the right conversation, in the room where it mattered most. That remembrance was not accidental. It was divine timing expressing itself through human memory. God does not leave the introduction to chance. He orchestrates it with a precision that looks like coincidence to everyone watching, but feels like destiny to the one who has been faithfully waiting. Your name has been moving in rooms you have not seen yet. There are people who are currently being prepared to recognize you when you arrive. There are conversations happening right now that are creating the context for your next open door. There are introductions being arranged that you will not see coming, that will seem casual on the surface, but will carry the weight of years of divine preparation behind them. The ground is being prepared. The seed of your name has already been planted, and what God plants, He waters, and what He waters, He brings to harvest at the appointed time. You have to stop underestimating what God has been doing on your behalf in the seasons when you felt most forgotten. The feeling of being forgotten is one of the most disorienting experiences a human being can have. It attacks your sense of worth. It makes you question whether the call on your life is real. It makes you wonder whether the sacrifices you have made meant anything to anyone. But feelings are not facts, And the feeling of being forgotten is one of the most consistently inaccurate feelings that chosen people experience. Because while you felt forgotten, God was writing your name in places that human effort could never have accessed. While you felt invisible, He was making you visible in the very rooms that your visibility matters in. Psalm 37 verse 23 says that the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Not some of the steps, not the big obvious public steps. Every step, including the ones that felt like you were walking in circles, including the ones that felt like they were leading nowhere, including the steps you took in the dark seasons when you could not see where you were going and all you had was the instruction to keep moving. Those steps were ordered. They were placed on a path that you could not see the full shape of while you were walking it, but from above, from the perspective of the one who ordered them. Those steps were forming a route that was leading you with precision toward the exact threshold you are standing on right now. Your name has been in those rooms. Your name belongs in those rooms. And the one who put it there is not going to let it be removed before you arrive to claim your place. There is a conversation that needs to happen about the things that tried to stop you from getting here. Because they did not look like doors when they were happening. They looked like walls. They looked like endings. They looked like evidence that the dream was wrong, that the call was mistaken, that the vision was too large for the life you were actually living. They came in the form of rejections that felt personal. They came as delays that stretched far past the point of reason. They came as seasons of invisibility that made you feel like you were disappearing, like the world was moving forward while you were somehow standing still, locked out of a momentum that everyone around you seemed to have access to except you. And in those moments, if you are honest, there was a part of you that considered the possibility that you had been wrong about yourself, that the thing you believed you were called to was a wishful story you had told yourself to get through the hard times, that the sense of destiny you had carried since you were young was just an inflated self-perception that life was in the process of correcting. Because when rejection comes repeatedly enough, and when delay stretches long enough, and when invisibility settles deeply enough, the mind starts to negotiate with the pain. It starts to build a story that explains the suffering in a way that makes it bearable. And sometimes that story becomes the belief that you were never as chosen as you thought you were. I need you to hear this clearly. Every single one of those rejections was a redirection. Every single one of those delays was a divine holding pattern, keeping you in place not because you were disqualified, but because the room was not fully ready for you yet. Every season of invisibility was a season of deep, underground preparation, the kind that does not show on the surface, but is absolutely essential for what is being built. The wall you kept running into was not a wall. It was a door that had not yet been unlocked from the inside, and the one with the key was not being withholding. He was making sure that when the door opened, everything on both sides of it was perfectly aligned for your entrance. Consider the story of the children of Israel standing at the edge of the Jordan River. The river was at flood stage. The road forward was completely impassable by any natural logic. There was no bridge. There was no boat. There was no human mechanism by which the crossing could be made. And then God gave the instruction to the priests to step into the water before it parted. Not after, before. The opening of the way was contingent on the step of faith being taken first. The miracle did not precede the obedience. It followed it. And the people who stepped into that flooding river while it was still at full strength were the people who watched the waters pull back and create a highway through the impossible. You have been standing at the edge of your Jordan. You have been looking at the flood stage river of everything that seemed impossible, every door that seemed permanently closed, every circumstance that seemed to be working against your advancement. And the instruction this whole time has been to step in, to keep going, to keep putting your foot into the water, even when the water has not parted yet. And you have been doing it. Maybe not with perfect confidence every single time. Maybe with trembling. Maybe with tears. Maybe with the kind of weary obedience that does not feel heroic in the moment, but is actually the most heroic thing a human being can do. You have been stepping into the river, and the waters are pulling back. What looked like rejection was selection. What looked like delay was preparation. What looked like a wall was always the door. And the door is not swinging toward you as a distant future event. It is swinging open right now, in this season, in this moment. The very things that felt like they were working against your destiny were the instruments that destiny used to bring you to this exact threshold. Nothing that happened to you was wasted. Nothing that was done to you was able to ultimately derail what God determined before the beginning of time. You made it here. Every version of you that wanted to quit, every moment when walking away would have made complete sense. And you are still here. That is not nothing. That is everything. The exclusive rooms are open, not opening. Not about to open, open. And this distinction carries a weight that can transform the way you carry yourself from this moment forward. Because there is a difference between someone who is waiting for a door to open and someone who is walking toward a door that is already open. The posture is different. The pace is different. The energy is different. The one who is waiting for the door carries uncertainty in their body. They hold themselves tentatively because they do not yet know whether they will be permitted to enter. But the one who is walking toward an open door carries something different altogether. They carry the quiet, settled confidence of someone who has already received the confirmation. Someone who is not asking for permission. Someone who is simply walking in the direction of what already belongs to them. That is who you need to be in this season. Not arrogant, not loud, not performing confidence you do not yet feel, but settled, quiet, grounded in the knowledge that the rooms you are moving toward were not opened by human hands, and therefore no human hands can close them before you arrive. When God opens a door, the scripture is explicit. Revelation chapter 3 verse 8 says, "I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut." No one. Not the person who rejected you before. Not the institution that overlooked you. Not the season that tried to bury you. Not the voice in your own head that has spent years telling you that you are not enough. No one can shut what God has opened. And what He has opened for you in this season is not a crack in the wall. It is a wide open door into rooms that carry your name on the threshold. But here is the part that requires something from you. You have to walk in as yourself, the full version of yourself, not the diminished version you learned to present in environments that could not handle your actual capacity. Not the quietly apologetic version that made itself smaller so that other people would feel more comfortable. Not the edited version that left out the most powerful parts of its story because those parts seemed too much, or too strange, or too large for the room it was trying to fit into. The rooms God is opening are not asking for a trimmed-down version of your calling. They are built to contain the full thing. They are sized for the real you, the one who has been through the fire and the flood and came out carrying something that most people cannot even name because they have never seen it before. You will be tempted when you enter those rooms to do what you have always done in spaces that felt bigger than you. You will be tempted to shrink, to hedge, to qualify every statement with an apology for the space it takes up, to present yourself with the kind of low-grade uncertainty that says, "I hope I belong here," rather than the quiet certainty that says, "I know I do." And that temptation will feel like humility, but it is not humility. It is the residue of old seasons that no longer define you. True humility is not making yourself smaller than you are. True humility is knowing exactly who made you and walking in that knowledge without either inflating yourself or diminishing yourself. You are walking into exclusive rooms as a representative of the one who built those rooms. The weight you carry is not your own weight. The authority you bring is not self-generated authority. It is the authority of someone who has been genuinely sent, genuinely prepared, and genuinely commissioned to be exactly where they are going. And the people in those rooms, the ones who have been placed there by God and prepared to receive you, they will recognize that authority. They will recognize the depth. They will recognize They will recognize the quality of someone who has been through the kind of preparation that cannot be faked or manufactured or fast-tracked. They have been waiting for someone like you, even if they did not yet have the language to describe what they were waiting for. Walk in. The door is open. The room is ready. The people inside have already been told that someone extraordinary was on the way, and that someone is you. Carry yourself accordingly. Speak with the clarity of someone who knows why they are there. Listen with the depth of someone who has spent years being formed. Contribute with the generosity of someone who has been given much and is now pouring it into something that will last. The exclusive rooms of this season are not the final destination. They are the next threshold. And what happens when you walk through them will open rooms beyond rooms that you have not yet been given the vision to see. But they are there, and they are waiting. You were engineered for this, not assembled carelessly, not put together at random with whatever materials were available. Engineered deliberately, precisely, with the kind of intentionality that only a creator who knows the end from the beginning can bring to the construction of a human life. Every detail of your design, your gifts, your sensitivities, your depth of feeling, your capacity for pain, and your equal capacity for joy, your particular way of seeing the world and processing what you see, the exact combination of experiences that have shaped you into the person you are today, all of it was chosen. All of it was placed there on purpose. None of it was accidental, and none of it was a mistake, including the parts you have spent years wishing were different. The things about yourself that have felt like liabilities are often the very things that make you irreplaceable in the rooms you are entering. The depth of your empathy that sometimes made you feel too sensitive for this world, that is going to be the quality that creates connection in rooms where everyone else is performing distance. The intensity of your conviction that sometimes made you feel out of place in environments that preferred things kept surface level, that is going to be the force that moves mountains in a season that requires exactly that kind of resolve. The way you have been able to hold hope in the darkest seasons when there was no rational evidence for it. That is going to be the testimony that unlocks faith in people who have forgotten what hope feels like. You were not made wrong. You were made for a specific assignment. And the assignment is here. Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5 contains one of the most staggering declarations in all of Scripture. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Before the womb, before the first breath, before the first heartbeat, before the world had any evidence of who you were going to be, God had already made his determination. He already knew. He already chose. He already appointed. The preparation did not create the calling. The calling existed before the preparation began, and everything that followed, every season of formation, every chapter of testing, every year of patient endurance, was simply the outworking of a decision that had already been made in eternity before time began. You need to let that settle, not as a theological concept that you file away for later, as a present reality that changes the way you stand in this moment. You were known before you were formed. You were set apart before you were born. You were appointed for something that history has been moving towards since before you arrived in it. The seasons of waiting did not delay that appointment. The seasons of rejection did not cancel it. The seasons of invisibility did not erase it. The appointment stands. It has always stood, and you are standing in the season of its fulfillment right now, in this moment, with this word landing on the exact part of you that needed to hear it most. So receive this. Receive it without reservation. Receive it without the habitual impulse to qualify it or question whether it is really meant for you. You have spent enough time living below the truth of who you are. You have spent enough seasons carrying the weight of other people's inability to see you correctly. You have spent enough years shrinking into spaces that were too small for what God put inside you. That season is finished. The show you have been putting on in private has been seen. Your name is in exclusive rooms. The door is open. And the God who engineered you from the beginning, who has watched every moment of the performance you never got applauded for, who has been building your case in rooms you could not enter, is now saying clearly, unmistakably, with the full weight of his authority behind the declaration, "It is time." Type, "I receive it" in the comments right now, not as a ritual, as a declaration. Let those words be the sound of you stepping fully into what has already been prepared for you. Comment "chosen" if you know, beyond any remaining doubt, that this word found you today for a reason. If today's message has meant something to you and you would like to support the work behind it, you are warmly invited to do so. Your contribution, given freely, helps carry this message further than any one person could alone. The link is there for anyone who feels led, with no pressure and no expectation attached. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, do that now. Stay connected to the flow of what God is releasing through this ministry. New messages are released consistently, and every one of them is prepared with the same care and intention as this one, because you deserve a word that is ready for you when you need it most. You arrived here today in a loop of restlessness that would not release you until you stopped long enough to hear this. And now you have heard it. Now it has landed. Now the word has done what words sent from God always do, which is find the exact place inside the listener that needed to receive it, and plant something there that will not stop growing. You have never put on a show like the one you have been putting on in the hidden places of your life. The faithfulness that no one applauded. The obedience that cost you something real. The endurance that looked like ordinary life from the outside, but was extraordinary from the inside. You have been performing at a level that required a room large enough to hold it, and that room is here now. It is open. It has your name at the entrance, and the one who prepared it has been watching your performance all along with the kind of attentiveness that misses nothing, forgets nothing, and wastes nothing. Your name is in exclusive rooms, not because you fought your way there, not because you outperformed everyone around you, not because you finally became impressive enough to deserve the invitation, but because you were chosen before you knew what being chosen would cost, and you paid the cost anyway. You kept going anyway. You stayed faithful anyway. And that anyway is the most powerful word in your story. The exclusive rooms of this season are not the ceiling of what God has for you. They are a threshold, a new beginning inside, a larger story that is still being written. What happens when you walk through those doors will create the evidence that opens the next set of doors, and the doors beyond those. You are not near the end of your story. You are standing at one of its most significant turning points. And turning points do not ask you to look back. They ask you to turn and face forward and walk into what is already prepared and already open. You are ready. You have always been ready, and now the season has caught up to the calling that was written on your life before you were born. Walk in. The room is yours.